All right, I think we're live here, and this was extremely painful to get here. I apologize for the delay, guys. I know that it's supposed to start at 4, 15 minutes behind. We're going to try to make this as beneficial as possible for everybody. I will have to leave a little bit early today, no worries. But before we get started, do me a favor. If you can hear me just fine, drop a 1 in the chat. That way I know if you hear me or not. So I appreciate your patience and getting started on this. Thanks, Jared. Had a major technical breakdown. Had to record from home, so I had to set everything up. Long story short, nobody cares. If you can hear me on Facebook or YouTube, drop a 1 in the chat. I'm about to go beat my dog, so he shuts up. Can you guys hear him barking in the background? Let me know if you can hear him barking in the background. It's kind of annoying. Little fart. So, last 2 weeks have been off, and I hope you guys had a great Christmas, great New Year's, all that jazz. Good to be back on here, even at not a normal setting, but hey, Jeff, good to see you. I sent you a message, Jeff, recently, and on WhatsApp. Check it out. I'd like to connect with you again. So check out your WhatsApp, Jeff, so I can connect with you on that. So, all right, guys, I'm going to open it up for questions. But before I do that, while I do that, rather, I'm going to talk about a few things. But go ahead and drop any questions you got in the chat. I'll do my best to answer them. If you got any issues, any challenges, any roadblocks in your business, anything like that, let me know. Throw them in the chat, and I will do my best to answer those. I had a podcast that dropped this morning with Brian Will. It's a good one to go listen to. He is a serial entrepreneur, has started out doing landscaping and grew that to multiple. I think he said he got it to 7 or 8 figures, and then ended up going bankrupt. And I want to talk about why here in a second, because it's very important. Because you could be caught in this exact same situation. But if you haven't listened to that podcast, it's I believe it's 148. Go listen to that. It's with Brian Will, interview with Brian Will. It's a great podcast. It's one of those interviews where there's a lot of talk about mistakes made and how you can avoid them. And there's a lot of value in learning from others so that you don't have to recreate all the same problems. And so the one thing that he said with his landscaping company is that he got in with this development corporation that was doing a lot of apartment builds, and he was providing all the landscaping and I believe lawn care as well for many years. And then all of a sudden, the vice president or whoever's in charge of new construction and landscaping, there was a new one that took over, and the guy who took over's son owned a landscaping business. Well, it doesn't take a rocket chemist to figure out that when someone takes over and their son does your job, you're gone, right? And that's what he did. And that one customer made up 80% of his entire work that he did. And so when you're starting out, or even if you've been in it for a few years, you do not want to have a customer that all of your work, or anything over 50%, really like more than 20%. You don't want a one customer who provides more than 20 to 30% of your total work, because if that company goes out of business, if they change directions, if they hire a new person who then uses their son, you're out of work. Right? That was the first lesson that he learned. He ended up having to sell everything. He talks about in the interview, he talks about he had to sell all his furniture, and his mom might have been his mother-in-law, came in to visit. He had no furniture, so she went out and bought a bunch of furniture for Christmas, or Thanksgiving. After she left, he then turned around and sold that furniture too, because he had no money. Because when he lost that contract, they decided they weren't going to pay for 6 months, because that's what the warranty period was. And so he had all of his vendors and so on and so on. And he said he went on to say he bounced 130 checks in 1 month. The bank shut him down. He got sued. So he had to sell everything just to break even and start over. And that can be completely avoided, right? He learned that lesson. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. The second lesson was I've preached on a lot, which is you should have cash and reserves. He talked in that interview about living 110% above his income. And a lot of guys do this. I made a comment or a post last week in my Facebook group about buying the $100,000 pickup truck. And every time I make that post, I get all kinds of pushback. Everybody gets all butthurt. And they completely miss the whole point of the post, right? I like nice trucks. I like nice things. One of these days, when it makes sense, I'll buy a new truck. I'll drop $100,000 on a new truck. I don't care. That's not the point. The point is that when you're starting out, or even if you have been in it a while, just because you sell one big job, or just because a little bit more work's coming in, you don't raise your lifestyle. You don't have a 10% increase in your revenue, so you raise your lifestyle 10%, and then you get another 10%, so you raise it another 10%. That's not what anybody who's successful does. These guys like Jeff Bezos, who started Amazon, if you go back and look at the very beginning of his business, he had a one-room office, right? And he was in there by himself. It looked like crap. The first 6 years of my business, my home office that I'm sitting at right now, I had 2 6-foot Rubbermaid folding tables in an L shape that made up my office desk for the first 6 years I was in business. Now I have a custom desk that I built. But the point is that you don't go out and just instantly raise your lifestyle because you got a little bit of money coming in, because that stuff's like a fart in the wind. It's gone in a second. And so when you go out and you raise your lifestyle and you max out your monthly payments, because that's what broke people do, by the way. People with a broke mindset, they live life by monthly payments. They ask themselves, how much per month can I afford? If I'm paying myself, $6,000 per month, maybe combined with my wife, maybe it's 6,000 or 8,000 or 10,000, whatever it is. Let's just say it's 6,000 total income to your family per month. What broke mindset people do is say, I can afford $6,000 a month in loan payments, or in recurring payments. Sure, I got to keep a little bit of money for gas and food and all that, but I can go out and buy a really expensive house. I can have a $3,000 a month, house payment, and then I can go have a $1,500 a month truck payment. That's only $4,500 a month. I still got more money left. I got to get a cell phone and all this other crap, and all of a sudden you're maxed out, even though you're paying yourself $6,000 a month. Your lifestyle is $5,800 a month, and you have $200 a month left over, of net positive net cash. And you're like, I'm living at large. And so then you go out and you sell some jobs and you make a little bit more money, and now you're making $6,500 a month. So what do? You raise up. You go buy a motorcycle. You go buy a boat. You go buy all this crap. Now you got more loan payments, and now you're at $6,200 a month, $6,300 a month. And this is what a lot of guys do. And this is what I talk about when the guys go out and buy a $100,000 truck, is because the second the phone stops ringing, right? The second that money's gone and you have no income, you're screwed, because you're only 3 months away from being repoed, right? So I always tell all my clients, I tell everybody, you should have a minimum of 3 months of your operating expenses for your business. On your personal side, you should have the same. So if your personal expenses are $5,000 a month, you should have $15,000 of money sitting in an emergency fund that never gets spent ever. That's just for your personal. If your business expenses are, say, $10,000 a month because you have a lot of employees or whatever, you got to have $30,000 sitting in a bank. That means combined between your business and your personal, you will have $45,000 of money that never gets touched and never used for anything. Now, you can have them in an interest-bearing account, you can have them in CDs or whatever, but it's got to be liquid enough that you can get that money if you need it in an emergency situation. But the idea of having $45,000 sitting in an account not doing anything drives people nuts, and they got to burn that money. They got to burn through it, right? Because their set point, for a lot of people, if you don't understand what a set point is, a set point is what you subconsciously, what you mentally have set for yourself as a financial barrier that you're okay with. And so if I talk to any one of you, anybody on this call watching live, if you gave me access to your bank account and I go back and look at it over the last 12 months, it doesn't matter if there's ups and downs, I can guarantee you that there's an average dollar amount threshold that you have in your account. So a lot of people have a set point of, let's say, $2,000, right? As long as they have $2,000 in their bank account, they feel like they're safe, they're okay. And so if a windfall comes in and they get an extra 10 grand one month, $2,000 is their set point. They get an extra 10 grand. Now they got 12,000 in their bank. They lose their mind. Oh my gosh, I got to blow this money, because your mental set point is $2,000, and so your subconscious is saying, hey, we got too much money in here. All we need is $2,000 to live our lives and feel comfortable. That means we got 10 grand that we can go and spend. That new motorcycle you wanted, that new boat you wanted, that really expensive watch you wanted, blah blah blah. Let's go blow it. Let's go spend it, right? And so then the next thing you know, a month later, you open up your bank account and there's $2,000 in there because you spent that $10,000 because your subconscious set point is 2. And so one way you can get around that is that when you do have money that comes in, let's say that scenario, you get an extra 10 grand, you got 12,000 sitting in your bank, do not touch that money for 30 days for nothing. Now, obviously, if you have a bill that's due, you're going to do that. But we're just saying this is extra money that has nothing earmarked for it. Doesn't have to pay any bills or nothing. You have to leave that money in there for 30 days. And what that does is it readjusts, or it creates a new set point. And so now your brain says, oh, we've had $12,000 in there. That's our new set point. We don't want to go below 12,000, right? And so now you build on top of that. And then when your bank account drops below 12,000, you start getting worried. Hey, I got to make some more money. I got to bring in some more stuff. I got to cut some expenses. The reason why most people are poor at least in America, is because they outspend their income. It's not because they don't make enough. And yes, we can argue that people don't make enough money. I get it. Inflation, all that stuff. I get it. But I guarantee you, the people complaining that they don't have enough money all have the latest iPhone or Android phone out there. They're all walking around with $2,000 phones in their pocket, driving late model vehicles, saying, I don't have enough money, because they outspend their lifestyle. Rant over for a second. I want to look at some of the comments. Somebody said after September 11th, I went in the red for 3 months. Had a new truck repoed. Not long after, I went from 25,000 to 80,000 in debt from cash advances on credit cards. Stayed in debt for 13 years. Yeah, it's a hard lesson to learn. Thank you for sharing that. I don't know who you are. I can't see your name. That's a hard lesson to learn, guys. And I'll share my story here in a second about the mistakes I made. On TikTok, I got $100K in student loan debt, but don't want to use my degree. I want to be a dancer. Any advice? Wow. I would say you need to go out and get a job dancing if you want to do that. But I would be having 3 jobs if I were you. If I had $100K in student loan debt, and that's what I want to do, I'm going to have 3 jobs. I'm going to go find a job that's going to pay the most as my main job. And if I want to dance, I'm going to do it on the side. But you got to just figure out a way to start making money, making lots of it quick. Yeah, Profit First book is great, and Toilet Paper Entrepreneur are both great books. Mike Michalowicz, all his books that he puts out are really good, really good. So I got to think of the years. I'm not very good with time frames here, guys. Let's see. Probably about 2006 or 7-ish time frame, somewhere around there, somewhere between like 2006, 2008, something like that. I had my wife and I had bought a house through a family member. It was a really good deal. It was one of those right time, right place type situations. Little tiny 2-bedroom, and we were in our 20s, and had 2 kids, and we had this opportunity to buy this house on 10 acres in a very high desired area. Just lucked out, purely lucked out. Tiny house, great property. A couple years later, we had an opportunity to sell it because we had our second daughter, and it was a 2-bedroom house. It was getting small, so we sold that property, and we walked away with 60 grand cash, 60 grand profit. I mean, like, we had 60 grand in our pocket, but we had not made a bunch of money. We were behind on some, like 1 month's house payment. We had our cars and stuff. Both of us had cars. And so what do? We have $60,000 positive cash. We sell the house. And so then my wife at the time, now ex-wife, she wanted to have a really big house. She wanted to upgrade. She wanted to go from, poor to middle class, upper middle class, or whatever. So we had to go buy this house that was like 3 times bigger than what we needed. And we put down like $30,000. It was we bought it on a contract from a guy that she knew. And so we couldn't have got a traditional loan. Our jobs didn't even pay. Our jobs were barely making any money. We had low jobs. We couldn't get a traditional loan. So we didn't borrow. We took 30,000 of the 60,000, bought this house we couldn't afford. Both our parents advised us it was a bad idea. Of course, we know better. We're in our 20s. We know all this crap. And so then we live in that house for a year or two. I don't remember the time frame. Meanwhile, while this was going on, we started having marital problems. We started going through a divorce. She wanted a divorce. That was fine. But then, long story short, we couldn't make payments on the house because we went from, like, I'm trying to remember now, guys. I think our first house payment was pretty cheap, like maybe $500 a month, right? And then we upgraded, and all of a sudden our payments were like $900 a month. But we didn't make any more money. Like, we didn't get better jobs. We didn't actually have more revenue coming in. I actually quit my job. I took another job and it didn't work out. And then I was actually making less money for a while. And then all of this compounded to ultimately going through a divorce in a bad situation and all this crap. Long story short, woe is me. The house got foreclosed on. So not having not having a good amount of money, not understanding how to use your money well, and over leveraging yourself almost always ends in disaster, right? I went through that process. It sucked. It was embarrassing. I had that on my record forever. And so, this it was a hard lesson for me. And then luckily, being very blessed, several years later after my divorce, I found my current wife, and she's very, very frugal. And so we were able to save our money. We used Dave Ramsey's program. We got out of debt, paid off all her student loan debts, my loans that I had left over, credit cards that I have over. We paid everything off, became debt free through that process. And now we live in a much lower lifestyle than what we make. And so when you do that, it makes it very easy to have a comfortable life. That being said, it doesn't mean we don't have goals. Doesn't mean we don't have dreams. Doesn't mean we have plans on buying a new house or building a house or buying nicer things. Matter of fact, we're supposed to go this weekend to Indy. I don't know if it's going to work because a big storm's coming through. We're supposed to go to Indy to look at. They have their big RV show because we want to go buy an RV. So it doesn't mean we don't spend money on things. It just means that we're very, very frugal and very live well below our means because we want to save that money for long-term strategies, long-term investments, stuff like that. We're not going out there and upgrading to the $100,000 truck as soon as we make some sales. It's just stupid. So user 52 whatever says, joke's on you, I got 500K in a trust fund. You jealous? No, not really. Matter of fact, I think I'm just going to kick you out of here. If I can figure out how to do it, I'll just kick you out. Apparently you need lots of attention, and so you like going in here and messing with people's lives. So let me see here. Boom, you're gone. That's when I have the power of the mouse. So user 162 whatever you are, he's out of here. She's out of here. I don't care. John says, could really use a skilled employee but can't afford it yet. How do you get over that hump? You charge more, John. You charge more. So the way you do that is, sorry, they commented again. You charge more. The reason why people can't afford a better employee, a skilled employee, is because you're not charging enough to begin with, right? If I'm charging, if I'm getting the right amount of money, I can pay the guy who wants to make 35, 40 bucks an hour. But if I'm not charging enough and I can barely pay someone 20 bucks an hour because I don't make enough money, then you're never going to be able to hire A players. So you have to, first thing you have to do is you have to charge more. What is it? SCR or SCM? Can't read your username there. Best ways to find new clients, marketing. This is a loaded question. I've done tons of videos and posts on this podcast. It really depends on your strategy, depends on what you do, depends on your customer avatar. But the very first thing you need to do is you need to understand your customer. You need to understand who your customer is, because not everyone's going to be your client. Matter of fact, most people are not going to be your clients. Most. Not some, not half, most. Most people that you talk to are not going to be your clients. And the sooner you can understand that, the easier it is to start putting processes in place and excuse me, and designing a marketing plan around that. He's a new general contractor. So if you're a new general contractor, you should be doing what I call dialing for dollars. It's the easiest way to get your name out there. There's two strategies I'll leave you with or give you on this call to invest in. Number one is you should join a BNI group, Business Networking International. Go to bni.com, look it up, do it. It's a huge networking opportunity. That's the way to do it. Number two is you need to start dialing for dollars. You need to call every single interior designer in your town. Tell them you're in business. You're looking for relationships that you can refer designers to, and so on and so on. Realtors, reach out to the top 10%. Don't reach out to the crappy ones, the new ones, because they don't know what they're doing. They'll waste your time. Mortgage brokers. If you get creative and start thinking about this, here's the question to ask you. Who do I know, or what, not necessarily who do I know, but what industry serves the exact same client that I serve, but we don't compete with each other? So, I'm not going to go call other general contractors and say, hey, give me your clients. They're going to say, get lost, buddy. But if there's other people who serve my clients and I network with them, then those people become referral sources. It can be accountants. It can be financial planners. It can be insurance agents. It doesn't have to be someone specifically in the construction trade. Think about this for a second. If you're going after high net worth individuals, people like, say you're wanting to do high end remodels, kitchens and baths and stuff like that, room additions, home remodel, whole house remodels. If you want to do high end stuff, those people have money. What do they do with their money? They invest it with financial advisors. Would it be smart to maybe network with some of the biggest financial advisors in your area? Perhaps. Would it be smart to talk to accountants? Because almost all of them have to have their tax returns done, right? And they're not using H&R Block, by the way. They're hiring a professional CPA because they want to try and save as much money as they can. So would it make sense to network with accountants who have clients who are wealthy? Probably. Would it make sense to even network with people in their industry? Like maybe your clients are doctors or lawyers themselves or business owners or other professional trades. Well, what other industries do they work in, right? Can you sister up with someone else? Could you, trying to think off the top of my head here for like general contracting, but, is there bankers that you can talk to, right? Is there developers? Maybe there's commercial developers, maybe there's residential developers that you can get in touch with and network, right? So networking, I mean, they're both networking activities. One is a BNI group, the other is doing your own networking. So you got to pound the pavement. You got to put in the time. A lot of guys just want to they think you put a magnet on their door, the phone starts ringing off the hook, and everything's great. That's not reality. That's la la land, right? You have to pound the pavement. You got to put in the work. You got to make the calls. So I had a meeting today in an effort to pound the pavement for a new thing that I'm doing. I haven't released it or told anybody yet, but I have a partnership that I'm working on in the construction industry. And we had a meeting today where we went and met with a referral source, pound the pavement, if you will, to help supercharge our efforts to get started. So there's no such thing as like, oh, once we make a bunch of money, we don't have to do that. You should be doing it every day. You should put on your calendar to call 5 referral sources every single day and do that for the next year. Think about that for a second. If you put on your calendar to call 5 potential referral sources, because that's what they are. A referral source is going to continue to refer people to you over and over and over again, right? Let's use a realtor as an example. If I become friends with a realtor, I'm friends with one of the top realtors in my town. And another thing, here's another thing about networking. This new venture partnership that I'm talking about. One of the first things I did was text my buddy who's a realtor and say, hey, new opportunity, more to come. Right? He's like, cool, let me know. I built that relationship. I met him in a BNI group more than 15 years ago. The first time I met him was 15 years ago, and we've become friends since then. He's a referral source. He constantly sent me work over the years. I don't know the total, but if I had it added up, he's probably sent me at least a couple $100,000 worth of work. Just one person. And if I have 10 of those people in my pocket, in my network, and that I'm friends with and that I, go to lunch with and all that stuff, if I have 10 people sending me $200,000 over 10 years, that's a pretty good deal. Do the math, guys. That's a pretty good deal. It doesn't take a lot. Those are referral sources. Those are people who keep sending you business over and over and over again, right? And so I don't even know where I was going. I got my phone to do some math, and I forget now what I was doing. I know what I was going to say. If you call 5 people every single day to try and, build networks with them, and you do that every single week, at the end of the year, you would have called 1,300 people. Does anybody on this live right now want to argue that if you called 1,300 people over the course of a year, you wouldn't create luck for yourself? In other words, you wouldn't create business for yourself. You would have to be a complete idiot to think that wouldn't work, that wouldn't be helpful. If you called 5 people a day, every day for 52 weeks for an entire year, you would have 1,300 contacts, 1,300 outreaches. For some of you, that's like 15 times more jobs than you do in a year. So this is how I built my business up. I built my business up through what I call market domination, which is every channel. I had Google reviews, had a Google profile set up, had Google reviews. I had website set up. I had it optimized. I had a blog on there, had SEO optimization. I had my Facebook page. I went live on there. I had, Instagram, although I never hardly ever used it for business. I had a newsletter I would send out each week. I had my vehicles wrap that would get attention driving down the road. I would get referrals from repeat, from clients. I would have repeat business. Just everywhere you could possibly think of, BNI group, my networks, all of that. It's like having 15 different channels out there just sending me money every week, every month, every day. Right? That's the market domination. You have every channel available. Things are a little bit different now. Now we got TikTok. Now we got some other stuff. We got AI that can help with that. But a lot of this stuff is still available. Still available. So, Mark, thanks for sharing the live. I appreciate it. I got to get off here in just a few more minutes, guys. Let me know if you have any last questions. Hopefully that was helpful. CSCM. Is it SCM or SCRN? I can't read that. Let me know if that was helpful. Hopefully it was. But I do have to hop off here very shortly. So let me know if there's anything else that I can answer for you. If not, then that's okay. We'll end it there. Hopefully this was valuable. If there's anything I can do for you guys, don't hesitate to reach out. If you're not sure if you're making enough money, who was it that was talking? John, if you're still watching, I do a free profit audit. So if you want to know if you're making enough money, just shoot me a message and we can jump on a Zoom and I'll look at some of your jobs and tell you if you're making enough. I can tell you right now that almost all of you aren't charging enough, like across the board. 96% of you are not charging enough. But the problem is many of you think that it's not possible to charge more. That's literally what I do in my program, is teach contractors how to charge more. But even more importantly than that is teaching you the right mindset to even believe that you can charge more. What do I need to do to get a concrete foundation? I have no idea, no clue. You need to contact your local building commission and ask them what the requirements are. Every city, municipality, county, state is different. Every single one of them is different. So I can't even begin to answer that question for you. Just go whatever the authority figure is in your town for building, whoever issues license, just call them and they will tell you, or go to their website. A lot of them will have it on their website. Just call them or go to their website or stop by their office and they'll tell you exactly what you need to do in order to get a license. So, but yeah, anyways, if you guys want help, let me know. I'm more than happy to take a look at your profit, see if if there's room for improvement, if there's any way we can find some more. I can give you some suggestions on marketing if you're not getting enough leads, but I can't do that unless I talk to you. It's no pressure. I'm not going to sell you anything. If you want help, I'll help you. I'll show you what that looks like, how my program helps you. If you don't want it, that's cool. Not a big deal. Move on down the road and you do your thing. I'll do my thing. There's literally it's no high pressure. And anybody in my clients will tell you, I don't try to trick them into anything. Can you say that again? Not everyone is my client. I have trouble closing deals. Not everyone's your client. I can't see your name on Facebook. Not everybody's your client, guys. About 80% of the people that call you will not be your client. That's why we have a sales process in place. That's why we have a pre-qualification process. If I know that 8 out of 10 people that I talk to are not going to be my client, why would I want to go out and do 8 free estimates that I know I'm not going to get? That's the entire sales process that I teach, is how to pre-qualify people over the phone instead of going out there and wasting 20 hours a week of your life that you'll never get back for people that are never going to hire you. Just think about that for a second. The whole industry says free estimates are just part of doing business, and that you just incorporate that into your expenses. That may be true for money like gas and all that stuff, but what about your time? What about your time that you lose and never get back? Who here, if I said, hey, you're going to go and who here wants to go waste 10 hours a week of their life talking to people that are never going to hire them? How many people want to do that? Not a single one of you would raise your hand and say, I want to do that. I want to go and waste 8 to 10 hours of my life every single week talking to people that are never going to hire me. Yet that's exactly what you do when you do free estimates. You literally say, I love wasting my time. I love waking up in the morning and going and wasting my time because I think I have unlimited amounts of it. I can guarantee you not a single person on their deathbed said, I'm so happy that I wasted 10 hours a week of my life for the 7-10 years I own my construction business, going out and talking to people that were never going to hire me in the first place. I'm so happy I did that. If you could look into the future with a crystal ball and see how much time you wasted on free estimates, and you go back and you look and you realize that maybe over a 10-year period of owning a business that you wasted an entire year's worth of your life doing free estimates, you would lose your mind. And I guarantee you would make a change right then. Yeah, that's exactly what people do every single day. Residential plumbing service, reach out to me. I have a guy that I work with very extensively who builds websites for most of my clients, and he's very, very good. So reach out, send me a message, just shoot me a message on here and on TikTok, and I'll share that with you. But I do need to hop off here, guys. Hopefully that was helpful. I hope you got some value out of it. Best way to know if you're wasting your time before you go to an estimate, you get training from an actual person who understands it, and you develop it and implement it in your business. Shoot me a message, David. Shoot me a message. I'll give you some more information. All right. All right, guys, I got to go. Dogs are barking. The wife's home. I got to leave. Thanks for hanging out. See you.